Welcome everyone to the Your Little Castle Show. We are always looking for those experts that can make things look new, look beautiful again. And in studio, we have an expert that does just that. Give it up for Tom Wielgosh. He's the owner of Werks, wonderworks.biz. Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, Carter.
Well, I tell you, when you see a house that's been run down, the overgrowth, fences falling over, decks that are falling apart, somebody's got to come and fix those things. Everybody likes the easy job when you get to sit on the deck after it's all done, or even maybe assembling the deck is kind of fun. But you go in and you can do a little bit of everything and take a deck from where it was decrepit and needs to be reused or renewed, if you will, and tear it down and bring it up to brand new and make a house look like something that somebody might really want to own and live in. You work with a lot with mortgage people to help them get their houses ready for people.
Yes, we do.
All right, with that, we'll get started here. Shout out, though, we got to give a shout to our sponsors. Your Little Castle, because you like nice things. Where do you like nice things? Brought to you by Carroll House Furniture. Well, you like nice things in your little castle. So Carroll House Furniture, because you like nice things in your little castle. With that, we're going to show off some of Tom's work here. He's got a great-looking Facebook page. He's got a website. And lots of information, but he's got some wisdom here in that brain. He's got lots of knowledge. We were talking here, impressive stuff here, because there's so much that goes into the word he used was reclamation, and I was like, so you're reclaiming, essentially, right? Is the core word there? Break that down, right? And helping people reclaim what one time was a beautiful house and make it look beautiful again. What's it like getting to do this kind of work for people?
It's really refreshing being able to take something that people have, for whatever reason, has fallen into neglect or just gotten a little out of control, and being able to bring it back into and make it presentable and actually give someone the sense of pride in ownership of their property again, and allow them to feel better about themselves, and at the same time it helps the neighborhood improve along with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I can tell there's a lot of people that they're going to need a little help getting things back into order, and that's what you do. I mean, you literally take them. We're going to show you. Tom has so many beautiful pictures here. I was like, we got a lot to go with. He said, I uploaded a few to your cloud. We give everybody a cloud link to our Google Drive, and they can upload. And I'm like, holy cow, you've got stuff that looks absolutely not so attractive to begin with, and then by the time you're done with it, wow, that looks beautiful. It looks like somebody would want to live there, the house that people would brag about. And so that's what Tom brings to the table here to help people do. Werks, property maintenance and lawn care services. And check out a lot of what he's got there, wonderworks.biz, 573-855-5600. And great work you're doing there, Tom. Appreciate that.
Thank you, sir.
What led you to this? How did you decide that this is what you wanted to do as you're growing up? How did this develop for you?
It's kind of been a transition over the years. 20 years in the Army. Before that, I used to do landscaping as a kid to make money to give me something for spending. So I've always been outdoors, and Dad was a carpenter, jack of all trades, master of none. So I grew up with that and swore I'd never do it. And here I am doing it. And 20 years in the Army, I was kind of a design guy for the Army, doing construction design. But at the same time, I'd also get to see the Army build it. So it just kind of progressed. And then when I retired from the Army, the intention was for me to go into general contracting. And general contracting around the area that I'm in is kind of a dog-eat-dog world. And
okay.
Everybody's battling for it. And being around military, funds are tight. So you try and give the best that you can for the value.
Right.
And a lot of the contractors, it's hard for them because they're used to the bigger places. And what I like to do is focus on being able to help the people who are running with a tighter budget and do as much as possible with their income and their revenue to make it to where they're proud of their property, just like anybody that's got more money to spend.
Yeah, I've seen some of the work again. We're going to show, Tom gave us a ton of pictures here. We'll put those up on the screen for everybody. But literally, I mean, you're taking places that look like they'd been abandoned. And this probably is the case a lot of times.
They have been.
They have been abandoned. And so they're coming back and saying, hey, this thing is decrepit, not going to be used, not for safe use by any adult or kids or adults especially. But you're bringing it all back, tearing down. He's got some hardware, some machinery that we're going to show you too. And we've got some of that. I'll put this back out on our wide picture here, and some of that on the wall. You can see there's a picture of, what do you call that device down there on our bottom? What is that? What is that thing right there? I'll put that up on the wall. You can see a little video here Tom has. What is that called?
That is our moneymaker right there. It's a Ventrac articulated tractor where we can use it on slopes up to about 30 degrees. So pretty much ditch lines along the roads or stuff that you see the highway department's maintaining, we could do just about the same thing.
Wow.
We've got the attachments to do that. If you've got ponds that you haven't seen the water for years because of overgrowth, we've got the equipment that can knock that down so you can actually see your water features in the backyard. And we can do it safely and efficiently and cost effectively. And what you see in this video is actually broom sweeping a driveway so that the rock is back where it's supposed to be, and kind of regrading a little bit at the same time to get the water to be able to drain to the backyard at this property.
Okay, yeah, because it matters when you've got water runnage. Is that runnage? Is that a
runoff?
Runoff. There we go. Runoff. Thank you. Runnage. Runoff. Give Tom a take note of that. It's not runnage. It's runoff. Appreciate that. Take note. But when you've got water causes all kinds of problems. Damage. You get water damage. You get mold. You get all kinds of things that are not good for a house.
Right.
But you're climbing on angles that are 30 degrees. Everybody. 45 is like that, right? So you're still going like about that. I get my camera. Which camera angle are we? There it is. All right, camera 5. 45, 30. That's pretty steep.
About there, yep.
So that people can make sure they don't have these water problems. Talk about that for me.
Yeah, the water is the #1 cause of damage. I mean, it's the most powerful force in the world, as has been seen by the recent hurricanes all across the eastern seaboard. Water can take out anything that man has created. All we can do is deal with it, and the easiest way is to work with Mother Nature and just kind of regrade and guide the water where we want it to go, so that we can protect the properties around it.
Yeah, well, and you're helping people. You're helping people take properties that otherwise have been devalued to where they're worth $20,000 or $30,000, and you can increase their value somewhere more than now they're 80, 100, 200 or more thousand. They gain that value because now it's a usable residence or home, right?
Yep, we've actually had properties where they've been empty for 2 or 3 years, and poplar trees have popped up. And this last year they grew so much that by the time we got called in to do the work, some of them were 12, 13, 15 foot tall and about 2-3 inch trunks. And we cleared it out and actually spoke with the neighbor that had been sitting there, and he didn't even hardly realize what the house right next door to him, 200 feet, looked like. He hadn't seen it since he'd bought the house that he was renovating.
Wow.
And he come over, he's like, that's just amazing what it'll do and what you guys are capable of.
Well, again, when you're taking a house from a situation where there's literally nothing to that's usable. I mean, I keep talking about the pictures. I'm scrolling back a little bit on Tom's website here. All kinds of great information for you guys. But snow removal, mortgage service. When we talk about mortgage services, that's when you're really reclaiming a house to make it usable so that a homeowner can live there, right? Versus overgrowth and pipes broken and all kinds of ancillary necessary amenities for a house not able to be used. Driveways, access points, all the things that are going to make it viable so that somebody can make it into a residence again.
Yep.
All right. What was the turning point? Where was it when you decided this is what you wanted to do? And you said, hey, man, I woke up one day and after 20 years in the military, thank you for your service. Appreciate that.
Very welcome.
And yes, it's keeping us safe. We appreciate awesome work there. 20 years doing that. And then you said, hey, now I'm out in the civilian world. Got to deal with these civilians, right? When did you decide this is what you wanted to do? Where did you decide I like what I'm doing here to help improve our little planet?
The contracting was while I was in the Army. that started getting into my head. And then once I retired, getting into this line of work was actually a bit of a fluke. Had one of the banks call me up just out of the blue and ask me if I wanted to put a for sale sign on a property for them. Didn't think anything of it. They sent me the sign. I put it on the property. They gave me, I don't know, it was like 25 or 30 bucks at the time, and didn't think anything of it. I was working on finishing off a basement for one of my co-workers at the time that was just getting ready to get out of the Army, and got a call from the company again saying, hey, we've got a house that needs to be cleaned up. Would you be interested? And got to talking back and forth, and price was right, and I was running out of stuff to do, so I'm like, we'll go ahead and start doing this. Went into the mortgage field service line of work, and it's just kind of evolved from there to where out of necessity the equipment's grown, and now it's at a point where we're wanting to branch out and get a little bit more diverse and just keep adding on to the company now.
Okay. Yeah. Somebody who just, you wonder how people end up where they're at. And it seems like somebody just kind of got through this one in your lap and said, hey, Tom, start here and let's see what this turns into. It's just amazing work you're doing there, especially with this hardware you're running. Holy cow, you were taking down almost full-grown trees that were in a path and said, hey, we need to move this tree. Let's just go ahead and take our machinery here and clear this area. Pretty impressive. You've been doing this since 2011, right?
Yes. Werks has been around since 2011 when it became an LLC here in Missouri.
And you did that yourself. He knows how to do this on the website himself. I've paid somebody to do this all the time. Like, not I've heard from Tom, just go to the website. Do your research, but it can be done on your own and an easier way to get things done. So what is it about this that you do that really fuels your passion? When you saw the results you've got obviously here, and you're taking some property, and it's great to have a kitchen. They got a kitchen there to begin with, and it's usable, but it's a little outdated. And then you make it look beautiful, new. That's dynamite, looks great. But when you're taking a property that's actually decimated and then turning it into something that looks beautiful, you feel good about what you get to do, I guess.
Yes, very, very much so. It's a sense of pride and accomplishment. For me as the owner of the company and watching the expressions on people's face, just the shock and awe, I guess, for lack of a better term, of what it looks like when they see before and then what they see as it turns from one mess into, in some cases, it's actually their little courtyard. And it turns what used to be I really don't want friends over to, hey, come on over and spend time at the castle.
Yeah, I mean, you're helping people turn their, well, I like the way you said that. You're turning somebody's home into the castle that they dream of. And how often is it the case where, my house looks cool, but I really don't want any friends come over because it doesn't look so good. Versus what you get to turn it into. I'm going to put up, I've got up on the wall here, we'll use our super wide angle here, and you can see here, if you look just a little bit of the work Tom said, that's an after picture. We're going to show you the before, but taking somebody's driveway to where it's absolutely usable and beautiful versus something that people would not, you couldn't even hardly drive on, and this is the kind of stuff Tom gets to do. So talk about this one real quick. What does this take to do? There's the before. We'll even take off our graphics so you can see it. It's kind of got a little strip there, and a lot of overgrowth, grass growing inside there. And now, look at that. Tell me what you were doing here and how you think you helped this family with what they're doing.
This one here, I mean, before you could see the general wear pattern in the driveway. And then we brought in a power rake, which essentially grinds up everything, the gravel and the grass, everything, grinds it up. And at the same time that it's grinding, it's also leveling out the highs and low spots, which means that you won't have your water pooling nearly as bad and flowing to where you want it to. And then in this picture, you see where we've got a rake on the front, and we're actually just getting ready to clean up the rest of the grass that's just kind of loose on top before we finished up the project.
Okay, yeah, like I said, before and after, what you've done here has taken somebody from something that was usable, but it was certainly not attractive, and to now it's something that you really have a beautiful place for them to park. Wow, it looks like you put almost 3 rows of cars there, and now can have a nice safe place for people to navigate to get into the house there. It looks like a nice little house.
And one thing to note is what you see there, we didn't bring any gravel in.
Really?
Everything that is there is what was on site when we arrived.
Okay, so there's no additional...
no additional material brought in.
Oh, wow. So you just essentially churned what they had and turned it into what you see there.
Yep.
Okay, very cool. That's impressive. And there's that before and after. Now, talk about this device here. What is this? This is that monster machine, one of those monster machines you've got. What is this thing? What do you call this, and what does it do for you?
This is the tractor itself articulates in the middle, and it lets us get on those 30-degree slopes. In the front is our power rake attachment, which essentially is a it essentially is a rototiller that only goes about an inch or 2 deep, but it'll break up the hard pack stuff. So it's good for the rocks and the gravel and stuff, and it'll force the material as you're going forward. It maintains a little bit in front, almost like a dozer blade, to level out your highs and lows. And with going multiple directions, we can actually get an almost perfectly smooth grade if we want, or we can slope however you want it to go to get the water to run where it needs to go.
Gotcha. Yeah, and that's where you're taking something that was not usable and making it very much usable and looks beautiful. And that device is what is doing that for you. So you've got a little before and after here again. I'll show her with everybody here. You see where some of the fill's been put in. Here you are putting it on a layer there, but that's afterwards, now nice and evenly smooth so that they have a nice safe place to walk and drive their cars. How many people twist an ankle or fall down and because they didn't have a leveled driveway or parking area? Mm-hmm. And this is something you're helping them here. Tell me about this one a little bit.
This one, individual had gotten some gravel brought in, and he's been working on trying to level out the property so he can get more parking on the hillside and stuff. And also, I believe he's planning on bringing an RV in. He reached out to us originally asking about skid steer work. And the one thing with skid steers is they tend to tear up the property almost as much as they improve it, because obviously you're skidding on the ground. Whereas with our Ventrac, we actually articulate so there's no real scuffs. Obviously there's the wear from the tires going back and forth over the property, but with the broom and the attachments that we've got, we can kind of refresh and renew once we're done. If you're worried about having to take material into your backyard, we can get in there and you don't have to worry so much about having your lawn torn up nearly as bad with a skid loader bringing it in, where we can get in and we'll have a path, but we can go ahead and broom that out a little bit, and you'll hardly even know we were there.
Gotcha. Okay, yeah, well, now you're talking about how some of the way this is done and some of the things you have to watch about, because when you're, be wary of, I should say, but when you're going into a property, you can tear up a lot of stuff, but if you've got the right tools, you can do that more delicately, more efficiently, I guess you should say, and then turn it into something that looks beautiful, like you can see here, because this is what people want to have as a final product. Here's where you're literally making something look beautiful. I mean, that's just if you saw that before and after. Let me see if I can go back. Yeah, there before, and you got some gravel there, but now you've got a real nice looking place for people to park their vehicles and safely enter the house, which is what people need to do, and a little bit of there. Now this is one I'm going to go forward here before I share. Here we go. All right, on the wall here, check this one out, everybody. This is one of the most impressive things I've seen that Tom does, and when you really get to see what you're doing to help the community. And wow, look at that. So on the wall over there, this is the before. If you can tell, I don't know if people can even tell what this is, but it just looks like some kind of a field there. There's some lights in the background. Oh, well, maybe I see a base out there, right? Pretty impressive, because this is what you turned it into. Wow. Now you're talking. But you literally took, I'm going to go back again before. I'll take the title off there because it won't be able to see. Before and then after. Holy cow. This is what you get to do. This has got to make you feel good about some of the work you've gotten to do. How did this come about, and what did you tell everybody a little bit how you did this? This
was a local small town softball field. Happened to be driving by one day, and the girls were out were practicing. Stopped and talked to the coach and asked if they'd be interested in maybe getting the ball field renovated. And this is when we were first getting into it and first getting out there with the equipment. And made the offer of, well, we need someplace to showcase a little bit. Would you mind? And then they went back to the school board. The school board said, yeah, we'll go ahead and let you do it. So we started with this picture here is what the ball field looked like. It looks more like a pasture, which
Right.
is the way the coach described it when we were talking to him. He wouldn't even let the girls slide on the field because it was so rough. And it was. I've seen horse pastures growing up on farms where the pastures were smoother than that ball field was
Right.
before we started. And this is after about, I think this took us somewhere around 6 hours. We were there 2 days, partial days each, because we did the first part, which is this, and then the school bought some ball field material from one of the suppliers for the actual ball field clays and stuff.
Okay.
And brought it in, and then we came back out and re-leveled it with that. And we saved the school a considerable amount of money doing this, and it wasn't so much the money in the end, but it was the looks on the players' faces and the sense of pride that the coach had afterwards, because he was feeling like he had one of the best ball fields in the area after we got done.
That's what we're talking about, everybody. Especially when you get to help community athletics. We know that the Cardinal Cowboy here, I've got to put my hat on here almost. But when you are doing things like this has an impact, right? Now you're really doing some work to help these, in this case, this is softball only or baseball team?
This was a softball team, yes.
And so that really allow these girls to develop skill. I think you learn skills from sports that you don't learn anywhere else, right? How to compete, how to win, how to lose, how to practice, and what you do to develop your skills. And now that's an impactful thing there. So take note of that, everybody. The Cardinal Cowboy has given his seal of approval. That is a huge impact you get to make there. 6 hours of your work, but that would have taken somebody, well, it never got done otherwise, right?
Yeah,
they didn't have
would have taken
machinery.
they would have taken them by hand, and they would have had to spend their practice time doing it because the school wouldn't do it themselves.
Yeah, and having the right kind of resources to make these kinds of things work, this is where you're really making that impact. Well, tell me then, what is the one thing that you really believe sets you apart? I mean, obviously you've got some skills, you've got some machinery here, and it seems like you just got the right kind of heart. You want to make a difference here. What is it separates?
The one thing that I like to think sets me apart from a lot of the others is the fact that I'm out. I want your business. However, I don't want to have to come back for your business a second time for the same reason. A lot of people, and I'm sure everyone's aware of this, our society's become a disposable society.
That's
you buy a lawnmower at the hardware store and it's good for 2 or 3 years.
right.
Where years ago it used to last you 15, 20 years. I mean, my parents have got a snowblower that's 50 years old now,
Wow.
still running. You can't buy something like that now. And I was brought up, when you did a job, you did it to the best of your ability and with the intention that you weren't going to have to come back to fix something. Because in my eyes, if I have to come back and fix something that I just did work on for you, unless it's something that was out of my control, I failed as a business owner. And it's hard for me to be able to say, give me your business if I've got to come back again for the same thing. And at the same time, I'm not opposed to, for those people who want to learn how to do stuff on their own or maybe need a little bit of guidance, I'm not afraid to be like, you know what? I'm cutting my own throat here a little bit, but I'm saving you money in the process, giving you an education which you can pass on to others and maybe save yourself some money to do something a little bit better for yourself later on, and hopefully you'll come back to me.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it from Tom, the owner himself. Do it right the first time. Make it something that lasts, and that lasts for you as a business owner to say, hey, we're not just doing something here one time and hoping a quick way that it doesn't last. We want this thing to last so that you're not calling me back to come here and do this again. Grading this field and all the times you've cut down trees and roughage around the neighborhoods and houses. I mean, do this thing right. Then your reputation helps develop your business for you. Back into the whole strategy of do it right the first time, and you don't have to do it again. That's what we like. I got the pencil out for that one, everybody. That's a key element there, and I think it attribute to Tom's happiness as a business owner, not just as a successful person doing good work to impact the community, which you're also doing here too. Well, tell me, what is one mistake when it comes down to this kind of work? I mean, a lot of people, they don't really understand at all what goes into this, but they may say, oh, I'll do it myself. We get to very often do it yourselfer, but you couldn't even come close to doing what you're doing here, especially when you've got the hardware and machinery that you have. What's a big mistake that people often make when they're making a decision to get some work done like this?
I think the biggest mistake that people make is letting the almighty dollar rule what they're going to do. Don't always go with the low bid, because as you've seen time and time again on the news and everything, you get what you pay for. There are those that will come in low and they'll give you a good product, but you may not be getting the right product that you need. And don't be afraid to come out and check with a couple different contractors or a couple different vendors and bounce ideas off of them, as well as see what their recommendations are and combine them all and then talk to them, see which one you want. But the bottom line is money controls, but don't let it control your projects.
Okay. Yeah, because a lot of people, with the emphasis, I want the cheapest price, I want the lowest bid, and then they don't realize they're cutting some major corners that are going to cause them to have problems where they're going to be paying a lot more in the future. To one of those famous quotes we've heard, cheap can become very expensive. Yep. I heard that one before. Write that one down too. It applies here also, because when you try to cut corners and save a few bucks, now you end up with something that didn't get the job done, ultimately.
Right.
You're going to have to come back and do it again.
Or cause more damage in the long run.
Yeah, you're talking about potential for water runoff and all kinds of things you can run into that are issues. So I want to give a quick, we got a ton more here. Tom, is it all right? We talked about doing 2 shows with you. Can I got plenty more for here. I want to show off more of your work. I'm going to put up on the wall over there for everybody. This is a video Tom did. This is this softball field. And take a look at that, because you can see that's what it looked like prior. And this is what you get to do when you're making an impact, because Tom went over and turned it into something that turned out to be awesome and turned into what you see here. So these are the kinds of things we're looking for from our leaders, from our guests, and those are going to make a difference. This is the Your Little Castle Show. Stay tuned. We're going to have Tom on for another half hour to talk more about what he does and show some of the work that he's done to make a difference on our little planet. Stay tuned, everybody. Giddy up.